welcome to Firstpost Spotlight, where we bring you stories that matter to you from all across the world. From breaking news to the day's biggest controversies, we shed light on issues that shape our world. I'm Alison LaGrange, live from Durban, South Africa. Let's begin with the top headlines. A landslide on the trek route to the Kedarnath shrine in India kills 2 and injures 3 others. As per officials, boulders rolling down the hillside hit pilgrims and porters. Spain resists US President Donald Trump's demands to hike defense spending to 5% of national output, potentially threatening NATO unity at a crucial alliance summit this month. UK inflation stands at 3.4% for the month of May, marking a 0.1% drop as compared to April, fueling expectations that the Bank of England will hold interest rates steady this week. Tens of thousands of Cambodians take to the streets of Phnom Penh for an official rally to support the government's actions in its recent border dispute with Thailand. And sweltering temperatures prompt heat stroke alerts in multiple Japanese regions. Dozens of people seek emergency medical care in the capital, Tokyo. Hello and welcome. Let's begin with the top story from India. In the latest, Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi and US President Donald Trump held a 35-minute-long telephonic conversation late on Tuesday. India's Foreign Secretary Vikram Misri briefed media on Wednesday about the conversation between the two leaders. As per the statement released by India's External Affairs Ministry, Prime Minister Modi and President Trump were scheduled to meet on the sidelines of the G7 summit. However, due to President Trump's early departure, the meeting could not take place. The statement also highlighted that the telephonic conversation was requested for by President Trump himself. This also marks the first conversation between the two leaders since President Trump extended condolences to Prime Minister Modi after the phone call after the Pahalgam terrorist attack on the 22nd of April. And express support against terrorism. Now let's take a look at the top 5 takeaways from the 35-minute-long conversation between the two leaders. During the call, Prime Minister Modi held a detailed discussion on Operation Sindoor with the US President. India launched Operation Sindoor in response to the Pahalgam terror attack. Prime Minister Modi said that India has conveyed to the entire world its determination to take action against terrorism. He described India's actions as very measured, precise, and non-escalatory. Prime Minister Modi also made it clear that India will respond to Pakistan's bullet with a bullet. The Indian Prime Minister said that terrorism is now seen as a war and not a proxy war. He also added that Operation Sindoor is still ongoing. During the telephonic conversation with President Trump, Prime Minister Modi also made it clear that at no time were issues such as the India-US trade deal or mediation by the US to broker peace between India and Pakistan were discussed. Now, this comes in response to Trump's repeated claims of brokering the truce between India and Pakistan following Operation Sindoor. New Delhi has constantly denied such claims. The Indian Prime Minister also emphasized that New Delhi has never accepted mediation, does not accept it, and will never accept it. Prime Minister Modi and President Trump also expressed support for the Quad's important role in this region. The US President also accepted Prime Minister Modi's invitation to visit India for the next Quad meeting. During the conversation, President Trump asked Prime Minister Modi if he could stop over in the US on his way back from Canada. However, the Indian Prime Minister expressed his inability to do so due to his pre-scheduled engagements. The two leaders also discussed the ongoing Israel-Iran conflict and the war in Ukraine. As global tensions remain high, it remains to be seen how the India-US ties will be affected by it in the coming days. And moving on, now let's shift our focus to the recent meeting between Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney on the sidelines of the G7 summit in Alberta. During the meeting, Prime Minister Modi and his Canadian counterpart Carney agreed to take calibrated steps to restore stability to the relationship. The two leaders also decided to restore high commissioners to each other's capitals. This marks Prime Minister Modi's first visit to Canada in a decade, and also the first bilateral meeting between the leaders of the two countries since 2023, when the then Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau accused New Delhi of involvement in the killing of the pro-Khalistan terrorist Hardeep Singh Nijjar. New Delhi had rejected these claims as absurd and motivated and sought proof from Ottawa. Now, these allegations downgraded the ties between the two nations. India had earlier recalled its High Commissioner and 5 diplomats in retaliation to Ottawa's attempt to implicate Indian officials in Nijjar's killing. Canada had also seen the expulsion of its diplomats by New Delhi. Tensions escalated as India accused Trudeau's administration of permitting pro-Khalistani activities on Canadian soil. However, Canadian Prime Minister Carney's recent invite to Prime Minister Modi to attend the G7 summit was seen as a chance to mend the ties between New Delhi and Ottawa. Now, following the meeting, India's External Affairs Ministry released a statement describing the meeting as very positive and constructive. In his public statement, Prime Minister Modi highlighted the importance of India-Canada ties and how both countries can further strengthen democratic values. Listen in.
भारत और कनाडा के संबंध अनेक प्रकार से बहुत ही महत्वपूर्ण है। कनाडा की अनेक कंपनियों का भारत में निवेश है। भारत के लोगों का भी कनाडा की धरती पर बहुत बड़ा निवेश है। लोकतांत्रिक मूल्यों को समर्पित कनाडा और भारत मिलकर के लोकतंत्र को मजबूत करना होगा, मानवता को मजबूत करना होगा, हमारे रिसोर्सेज का ऑप्टिमम यूटिलाइजेशन कर करके मानव जात के कल्याण के काम में कैसे ला सकते हैं, उस दिशा में हम प्रयास करते रहेंगे। और मुझे विश्वास है कि प्रधानमंत्री जी के चुनाव के बाद मुझे पहली बार मिलने का मौका मिला है, तो इस चुनाव के भव्य विजय के लिए भी मैं उनको बधाई देता हूं और आने वाले कालखंड में उनके साथ भारत और कनाडा मिलकर के अनेक क्षेत्रों में प्रगति करेंगे।
As per the statement released by Canadian Prime Minister Carney's office after the meeting, the two leaders reaffirmed the importance of Canada-India ties based upon mutual respect, the rule of law, and a commitment to the principle of sovereignty and territorial integrity. Now, focusing on other top takeaways from the bilateral meeting, the two leaders also agreed to resume senior-level dialogues on trade, people-to-people contact and connectivity. And they also decided that the trade negotiations that were paused will be taken up soon. Both countries also plan to collaborate on clean energy, technology, digital infrastructure, artificial intelligence, food security, and critical minerals. The leaders also agreed to stay in touch and to meet again soon to further strengthen their ties. Now, the relations between India and Canada have been poor for almost 2 years. However, the change of leadership in Canada and the recent meeting between the leaders of the two countries hints at a potential thawing of relations between New Delhi and Ottawa. Now, it remains to be seen as to what will be the trajectory of India-Canada ties following this meeting. And shifting focus to the ongoing conflict between Israel and Iran. It's been 6 days since Israel Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu launched Operation Rising Lion to take down Iran's nuclear program. In the latest, Iranian Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei has responded to US President Trump's assertion that Tehran must surrender. Khamenei said Tehran will never surrender and said that the US will face irreparable damage if it intervenes in the conflict. The Iranian Supreme Leader said Israel has made, quote, a grave mistake by attacking Iran. Khamenei's response came after President Trump said the US or Israel could take down the Supreme Leader whenever they want.
Pretty well. Remember, Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. It's very simple. You don't have to go too deep into it. They just can't have a nuclear weapon.
There's reports that you want to send the Vice President and Steve Witkoff to meet with the Iranians and have discussions. Is that something you're considering?
Not sure yet. I may. Depends on what happens when I get back.
What specifically is better than a ceasefire? What are you looking for here?
An end. A real end, not a ceasefire. An end.
In light of this geopolitical back and forth, the missile exchanges between Israel and Iran continue. Both sides are firing away as the conflict spirals further out of control. Sirens and explosions lit up the night sky over Tel Aviv once again. For the sixth straight day, Israel's air defense systems intercepted a fresh barrage of Iranian missiles. Overnight missile interceptions were also reported from the West Bank, cities of Hebron and Ramallah. Now, Iran claims it fired its cutting-edge hypersonic Fatah-1 missiles at Tel Aviv, whose shockwaves kept on rattling bomb shelters across Israel's commercial heart. Tehran also claimed it sent a swarm of drones toward Israel. Meanwhile, flames and thick smoke rose high over Iranian capital Tehran as well. On the 18th of June, Israeli warplanes struck the Iranian capital after issuing evacuation warnings urging civilians to leave one district. Israel's military later said it hit weapons manufacturing sites and a facility that produced centrifuges crucial for Iran's nuclear ambitions. Now, Iranian media also reported Israeli strikes on the sensitive Koger missile production facility. As Israeli attacks intensified, scores of terrified Iranians fled Tehran, desperate to reach the countryside, which is considered a safer refuge. Reports say food supplies are fast running out in the capital. Markets remain shut, and nearly half of the city's population has reportedly left the capital already. At the same time, a crippling cyber attack also knocked out Iran's Sepah Bank, one of its largest state lenders. Israel says 24 people have been killed in Iranian attacks so far. Iran said at least 224 have been killed in Israeli attacks, including top commanders and nuclear scientists. The fighting shows no signs of stopping, as Israel, backed by the looming shadow of Trump's America, seems determined to cripple Iran's nuclear ambitions. With global powers watching, nuclear facilities damaged, civilians fleeing, and warships moving in, the question now is, how far will this shadow war go before the region and the world is dragged into something far bigger? As West Asia's powder keg burns brighter, and on top of that, Israel now wants America's deadliest BunkerBuster Bomb to settle the nuclear scores with Iran. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is reportedly asking Washington for the Massive Ordnance Penetrator, or the MOP, the most powerful non-nuclear bomb in the world. The reason? Because there's one target that Israel can't crack on its own. Buried nearly 200 feet under a mountain, Fordow is Iran's nuclear crown jewel. Hardened, fortified, and built to survive the heaviest bombardment possible, while Israel's recent raids have dented Iran's nuclear infrastructure. International monitors have confirmed that Fordow remains unscathed so far. Now that's because Israel doesn't possess the muscle to punch that deep. Only the 30,000-pound BunkerBuster Bomb, a bomb built by America for American use, can do that. So what exactly is this bomb? The Massive Ordnance Penetrator, or the MOP, is a steel-cased juggernaut, also called the BunkerBuster Bomb, packed with 2.4 tons of rock, steel, and concrete, up to 60 meters before precisely hitting its target. The MOP has never been used in actual combat. But Israel has a problem. The MOP is an exclusive US-only wartime property. No other country, not even America's closest allies, such as Israel, can get its hands on it unless Washington approves or directly participates. In short, if Israel wants the MOP, America has to be involved, and that raises geopolitical stakes. Would the US risk joining Israel in such a direct strike against a deeply buried nuclear site, knowing Iran's retaliation could engulf the region? Israel, meanwhile, is also reportedly weighing other options to hit Fordow. Smaller bunker busters in large numbers, commando raids, even cyberattacks. Now, these are tactics that Israel has used before, but none of these come close to the assured destruction that the MOP offers. Reports citing former Pentagon insiders suggest if you want Fordow destroyed for sure, you drop the MOP. So here's the question. Will Washington hand Israel its most precious hammer or swing it itself? Either way, Iran's mountain fortress of Fordow has just become the hottest real estate in West Asia's nuclear arms race. And that's all we have on the show for today. We will see you again tomorrow at the same time. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned to Firstpost.
From breaking news to the day's biggest controversies, shedding light on the world's top headlines, detailed analysis on the stories that matter the most to you. Catch it all on Spotlight at 6 p.m. India time and 12:30 GMT, only on Firstpost.
Hello and a very warm welcome. I am Gursheen Garland and you're watching